In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill's Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts Alex and Sean. On this episode, we're going to be talking about an absolutely no good, rotten, very bad Bears loss. We're going to be talking about Cubs off season, where the Blackhawks are. I guess the White Sox did a thing, and the Bulls. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. Season is going on right now. Make sure you head on over to icehogs.com. Get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, that was a doo-doo game.
Sean, I want to kind of walk you through my emotions because I think this is kind of important.
Let's go.
So last night I was going to the Hawks game, right? And I'm getting ready to go to the Hawks game as the Bears game is ending. Justin Fields busts off that 30-yard run, and that to me felt like the clincher. And I got really excited. The prospect of going into Detroit and beating them and getting to celebrate a victory Monday the next day against an NFC North team for the first time in literally 2 years. Thanksgiving 2021 was the last time we beat an NFC North team. That was under Matt Nagy, for the record. I was really excited. This Victory Monday was going to feel as good as a Victory Monday has felt in a very, very long time. And then it happened. It happened. A historic loss. Not just for the Bears, but for the NFL. In the NFL, a loss has never happened where a team with 40 minutes of possession and a +3 turnover ratio, never before has a team lost. But guess who finds a way to lose? Matt Eberflus's Chicago Bears.
When the dipshits principle.
Yes. Good one. When the loss happened initially, I was just numb. I'm like, yeah, it's par for the course. I was numb. And then I go to the Blackhawks game. I'm having a good time. Love being at the Blackhawks game. I'm watching Connor Bedard for the first time in my life in person. But as this game is going on, circling in my mind is this loss. In between periods, I always go on walks around the concourse. All I can think about was that loss. All I could think about on the ride home was that loss. It was churning in my head when I was trying to sleep. I woke up this morning still thinking about that loss. And I got angrier and angrier and angrier as I thought about it. Angrier and angrier. Thinking about how you had a 12-point lead under 5 minutes to go. In spite of all the things that you didn't take advantage of early in the game. Detroit was playing like shit. You were finally putting pressure on the opposing quarterback. And what have we said a million times on the show when we talk about the Lions? The key to beating Jared Goff is putting pressure on him. You were finally seeing that. You saw Justin Fields come back from injury, and he was moving the pocket, and he had that nice, beautiful touchdown throw deep. You saw some good things. And you're thinking, man, if Jalen Johnson could have just held on to that gimme pick 6, if you could have taken advantage of those early interceptions of Jared Goff and had Scott not fumbled away that ball, you could have really blown the Lions out at home, a team that is among the top in football right now. But in spite of all that, in spite of the missed opportunities, you were still in the driver's seat to win that game. You had a 98% chance
Over
to
98.
win that game.
Over 98. It was 98.4 or something, wasn't it?
Something like that. It was all but a gimme. And then in a blink of an eye, after some conservative play calling, even despite the conservative play calling, you're still in a good position. But what do? We take the foot off the gas and try to play cowardly, gutless football. And Detroit marches down the field in the blink of an eye. And immediately when they scored that first touchdown, every Bears fan had the same thought. Oh shit, here we go. Detroit feasted on you, knowing that you were going to play conservative and play prevent on defense and offense. They knew those runs up the middle were coming when you tried to seal the game. They knew that. And they knew exactly how to pick you apart when they were trying to hold you down with prevent defense. They knew exactly how to attack you. They knew exactly what was coming. They made that comeback look so easy in a game that 9 times out of 10, an NFL team ends up winning. I was at a loss for words. But then you know what? I'm going to continue this journey of my emotions. As today went on, I was off of work today. I took the day off. As the day went on, I just got exhausted. If we were recording this morning, the speaker might blow out from the words I had to say and the anger I had. But now I'm mentally exhausted from this team and from this loss and from all the other losses we've swallowed over the past few years. And I'm tired. I am tired of this team making me feel this way and making me think the things I think. I'm not a violent, vengeful person, and yet I let this team put thoughts in my head when they just make me so angry. And I say to myself, why? Why am I letting this team do this to me? Why is this team putting so much unnecessary stress into my head? Why am I allowing this? Just following this team and sitting here with a record of 6-22 since the beginning of last year. It's exhausting. It's truly exhausting. And what's not unbelievable is that they would lose that game, because if there was any team to lose that game, it would be them. But what's unbelievable truly is that this continues to allow to be happening. This is enabled. What did the Raiders do, Sean? What did they do a few weeks ago?
They fired their head coach.
Uh-huh. Now, here's the thing. Would firing Matt Eberflus and bringing him an interim suddenly turn them into a contending team? No. You're not buying any more wins by doing that. But you have to give yourself standards that are higher than what you have, that are higher than what's written on the paper that Ding Dong George put with his purple crayon. You got to go above that. If you want to establish a winning culture, then you need to filter out what's not working. Matt Eberflus might be a nice guy, and it's not personal against him as a man, but that is not an NFL head coach. Maybe at best he's an okay defensive coordinator, but that is not an NFL head coach. You should not have a staff that has had multiple people leave due to misconduct, and that you're sitting here nearly 30 games in and you have 6 wins over that time. Listen, we know about the tanking last year. We accepted the tanking last year. But when you are sitting, what's it been, 28 games now? We're into the Eberflus era?
Something
right?
along those lines.
Right. Wait, do you know how hard it is to go 28 games and not win double-digit games in the NFL? Even with a tanking season?
Yep.
That's bad. You know what else is a shame? There were some good things to take away from that game. There were, but if you're not going to, when are we going to win? And I'm not talking about beating Brian Hoyer in 2023, who's almost 40 years old and done. I'm not talking about winning that game. I'm not talking about barely scratching out a 16-13 win against the worst team in football. I'm not talking about that. We haven't beaten one quality team in this era. We beat Trey Lance in a monsoon. We beat Mac Jones, which is turning into a disaster. We beat Davis Mills in a tanking Texas team. We beat the Washington Commanders, who are struggling to find an identity. We beat the Brian Hoyer-led Raiders, and we beat the worst team in football. That is this regime's win total. That's it. You've never beaten a division opponent. You've never beaten a winning team. You've never beaten a quarterback.
You've never won consecutive games.
You've never won consecutive games. You and I talk on this show a lot about trends in the NFL and how the NFL is built and what it's so hard to go this long without winning consecutive games in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane that I can't really talk about Justin Fields having a pretty respectable return to the field. Or that, hey, Montez Sweat looks like a pretty good move by Ryan Poles. The pressure that this team is getting on the opposing quarterback is looking better and better. And that's a good thing. Why does it matter? You're not winning any games. And listen, I get it at this point. You're not going for the playoffs. I understand that. But eventually you got to start winning. And you know what? Maybe it's for the best. Maybe, because they were talking about this on Wild Silly, and Sean, I want to get your opinion on this. And I think they were right when they said this. I think that if the Bears won that game yesterday, there'd be some very different narratives today, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And couldn't you argue, too, that one of those narratives could be, hey, maybe they're figuring things out under Matt Eberflus? I'm not saying I'd say that, but maybe others.
I mean, as this organization goes, they're very conservative. And if the coach can show any sort of life, can give any sort of hey, here's some good spin, there's a good shot that he comes back. That win against Detroit, had they not blown it, looks like that could be a something that they could present as, hey, don't fire us. Give us another year. Watch it work. And it would probably have worked.
So maybe in the long run, this has an effect that's desired. It could very well be. This might, we've gone through several losses where you say that's got to be it for the Matt Eberflus era. We said that after the Broncos game. We said that after the opening week against the Packers. We said that multiple times. I don't know how you come back from this. So
I started off when I was taking notes yesterday, watched that first drive, and I said, wow, maybe Luke Getsy learned a lesson and went, oh, you know what? Let's utilize our quarterback's best strengths to make this work. And instead, after that first drive, it just you started going back to being Luke Getsy. And I know a lot of people will shit all over Justin Fields and be like, bro, you think this was a good game? He threw for 169 yards. Ugh. Go look at Lamar Jackson. Those numbers. Lamar Jackson's like 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and has been an MVP, is paid what, 40 something million dollars a year as a franchise quarterback. And he's a media darling of, when they list the short list of best quarterbacks, because they bring an extra element that not everybody else has. CJ Stroud is throwing for 400 yards a game or whatever he's doing is ridiculous. But, you know, he's not terrorizing you with his legs. Uh, she, or sorry, uh, he can do some things where he's a little bit mobile, but he's not beating you with his legs. Justin Fields is special with his running ability. He's absolutely special with his running ability. You have to utilize that. Roll him out. Make the defense be honest. You saw the Detroit Lions, that's a really good Lions defense. One of the tops in the NFL. And you were giving them fits because as soon as they thought they had this play done, Justin Fields starts running, and you're like, uh-oh. I either have to leave a man open in coverage or Justin Fields is going to run. And obviously with just other quarterbacks, you're like, okay, I can let them run. They're going to pick up a couple yards. I make the tackle, or they slide, or I make the tackle. It's done. Justin Fields can take that to the house, and you have to take away Justin Fields and hope that he misses on the pass or the player drops it or whatever. He's hitting these passes. He's hitting, and he's not Tyson Bagent. He can hit those deep passes. We saw it with DJ Moore. We should have seen it with Tyler Scott, who I will go back to. And Justin Fields is doing good things despite Luke Getsy. And this coaching staff just, they can't get out of their own way. They're so stuck in who they are that they're like, I try to change, and it worked, but I didn't like it. So I'm going to go back to my way. And what you have is a loss. The whole game, you're beating Jared Goff's ass, and he's throwing interception. A guy that went, I think this was only his like fifth game since 2020, or third game since 2020. I think it was third game since 2020. He's thrown more than one interception. He hadn't thrown an interception like in a calendar year. And you get him 3 times. Should have been 5. Should have been 5 times. And you're doing everything right. So you're like, oh, hey, we need to get a stop. Instead of doing what you had been doing, yeah, no. Let's just play it loose and let him just try to throw it. And you get your ass beat. Like, it's the fact that Eberflus has a job today tells me what a cowardly organization this is.
It's a cowardly organization that plays cowardly football. And unfortunately, you and I knew this. We knew that this morning, nothing was going to change. We knew that.
Yeah.
Even though it should, we knew it wasn't going to change.
Yeah. At best, he'll get fired the day after the season ends. After the day after the last game, at best, he gets fired. But he is not getting fired in season.
No. There's no chance. I mean, that's not how Ding Dong George does business.
And I want to point something out to you. On the defensive line, who's far and away the best defensive lineman the Bears have?
Sweat?
Yes. Do you know what percentage of defensive snaps he played on?
Way too few.
Take a wild guess what percent?
40?
38. 38% of the snaps. Guess what percentage Aiden Hutchinson,
was it like 90% or something?
I think it was like 95%. He played almost every snap. Matt Eberflus was asked about this. Hey, Hutchinson played almost every snap. Your best player played a third of the snaps. Why? And he goes, we've got a rotation. Do you know how painfully stupid that is? It's one thing if you're like, we've got a rotation, and you've got the Eagles defensive line where you're just rotating studs in. All right, I get it. That makes sense. You know, if you're if you're another team that just has a bunch of dudes that can get to the pass rusher, and you're like, we like to keep them fresh and go after them. Cool. You're the Bears. You have one guy that can get to the quarterback, one, and you put him in less than 40% of the snaps. Bro, that's ridiculous. Is every time he was in there, he looked good. He was causing pressure. And
he got a sack.
Yeah. And they were in all the time on Goff. Nah. You're like, my principle is you've got to rotate guys.
Hey, your principle is 6-22.
Is all of your principles, your hits principle, whatever it is, your dipshittery is you are a loser. You are absolutely a loser. And another thing I want to point out about Matt Eberflus is how many opportunities after games during press conferences does he have an opportunity to look at him, to look and go, I have to be better. My coaching staff did this wrong. I did this wrong. He doesn't. They even asked him, what would you have changed if you could go back? Clearly this did not work at the end of the game. And he was like, you got to look at like the Panthers game. It worked, didn't it?
Yeah. Okay, Matt Eberflus, you were playing a 1-8 team. This is one of the top 3 teams in the NFC. Eberflus, you think there's maybe a little bit of a difference? Oh, wait, you wouldn't know because you haven't beaten a team that has a 500 or better record.
It's starting when you see everybody healthy, you start to look at this team and you're like, you know what? Maybe Ryan Poles hasn't done that bad of a job of assembling a team. It's his coaching staff. They suck. They just suck. Even when they call the right play, they've got the wrong guy in there. Like on the one touchdown that the Lions had, that where it was the misdirection, where they put the heavy package in and everyone went right, and then they flipped it to the guy going left. They had a backup linebacker in there chasing. Yeah. Why, bro? Why don't you have one of your starting linebackers in there? Jeez, why?
Gotta get everyone their share to get everybody in there to rotation.
Oh my God. And why is that play that you're going deep to seal the game? Why is that to Tyler Scott, the guy who drops every pass that's thrown to him?
It should be 100% to DJ Moore.
Unless
he's double covered, then
Darnell Mooney, I would be fine with too.
Me too.
Outside of those two, no, should not be anybody else on that team. And I know it's like everybody's quieted up because Velus Jones has got the bench treatment, and deservedly so. Tyler Scott sucks just as bad. Tyler Scott, what does he do that he deserves playing time? He can't return punts. He can't return kicks. He can't catch the ball. He can't read a ball in the air when he's being perfectly led. That was a touchdown Justin Fields threw to him, and he slowed down and then went, uh-oh, and then started to speed up and couldn't get there. That's a touchdown. That seals the game. That is one of the multiple things that seals this game, and it just doesn't go right. And Scott stinks. He should not be on the Bears. I know he's a rookie, but if he can't play, don't put him out there.
Yeah, these little speedy guys that Ryan Poles seems to like in the draft. No more of that.
Drives me crazy. So you don't put in the right guy on defensive line. You don't put in the right linebacker. You don't put the right wide receiver in there. It just boggles my mind. Trying to seal the game. You've got first down, and you run 3 plays, and you run 15 seconds off the clock. You should be fired for that. How do you only run 15 seconds off the clock?
Because they played not to lose, and Detroit knew exactly what was coming. Justin Fields was killing Detroit all day with his legs, with the jukes and the dekes, and literally just keep the ball in your quarterback's hands, and either with his arm or with his legs, let him seal it. You let Tyson Bagent seal the game the other week.
Yeah, and I loved that play that Scott dropped the ball and slowed down, didn't catch it. Is on that play, if you watch, he had an underneath route to DJ Moore that I think it would have taken a good play by Moore to make the first down. I think he makes the first down on that. But I love the aggressive shot because it was the right read. And here's the thing is the internet loves to take a freeze frame of a play and go, that's a touchdown. And this is exactly what that play was. You're like, oh, he threw to DJ Moore underneath and got the first down. But they would have been like, he missed Scott catching a touchdown pass and wide open. And they throw to the open guy. He slows down and doesn't make the catch. And it was the right read. The one safety came down to try to attack DJ Moore, and the other safety had to cross the whole field, and the corner couldn't stay with Scott. Scott was open, and the throw was there where only the Bears receiver could get it. It was the right read, the right throw. The wide receiver botched it. And that's the thing. Justin Fields did everything we could have asked. He played. There was no turnovers. He did everything he was asked to do. He played within the offense. He drove down the field. He gave you the opportunity to win, and they didn't do it. And this is just unbelievable. And you have Jalen Johnson, who I still love, but you dropped 2 interceptions, and one was a cakewalk to a pick six, and that seals the game. That's a 14-point swing because the Lions scored 2 plays after that. They score, and you wouldn't have scored there, or the Lions wouldn't have scored there, and the Bears would have 14-point swing. You lost by 5. That wins the game, and you got to catch those. You just have to.
Yeah,
just so many stupid little things.
The Lions spent all but the last 4 minutes giving you that game.
Yep. And I'm not even gonna lie, the Bears played really well. I mean, the first half, sure. I would have said first half, the Bears got outplayed, but were winning. And it was like a Rocky fight with the wrong ending. like you're getting beat up at first, but you're staying in there. You're fighting. You're staying in there. You're fighting. Third quarter, you're like, oh man, we're busting this open. Now it's time to play Eye of the Tiger, and we take this home. And then, Clubber Lang knocks you out. It's unbelievable. And from a team building, you have a point that this goes on the this is why you got fired report. And in the long run, it should make the Bears better. It just really sucks to have to deal with this year. And, we don't get any redemption until at least September. We're living this for, the better part of a year.
Right. I did a little poll on Twitter to kind of gauge people's feelings today after that loss. And basically I asked a simple question. How are you feeling today after this historic loss? So there were 3 options to vote for: pissed, numb, happy for tanking. Could you guess what the majority said. And this was a majority by a decent margin.
Numb.
Correct. Could you guess what percentage of 88 votes that we have so far? 88 votes. What do you think the percentage is?
I'm going to say 60% numb.
53. So you're pretty close. The next was 27.3%. Can you guess what that was?
Pissed.
No.
No.
Happy for tanking.
Wow. People are it's apathy, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that people really want Marvin Harrison really, really bad. And you want any insurance to get that. Because looking ahead at the tankathon, things are getting a little interesting. The Giants won a big game yesterday for us.
Huge.
With Tommy DeVito. Good for Tommy DeVito, former Illini great. But 90% said pissed. And that's how I was feeling through much of today. And I'm going to say this too. I think the pain of the loss is elevated when you lose to a division rival. Obviously, it's not that, our feelings towards the Lions, it's not like the Packers or the Vikings, but it's still a division rival that you battle with every year. And those hurt a little more.
It does. It does. Especially one that just has historically been a bad team that's starting to be really good. And their fans are getting a little mouthy.
Well, here's the problem. The way the Bears lost is how the Lions lost for so many years.
Yep, they snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory.
Exactly. Now the Lions are winning those games and we're losing those games. And it's like, well, the Lions of old, that's us now. Like the 6-22 record over a few years, for most of my life, up until like now, if you would have said that would have been the Detroit Lions, I'd be like, yeah, I believe you. Like everybody knew the Detroit Lions is that team. And now the Detroit Lions are really good and have a chance to maybe win some legit games to get to a Super Bowl. Not just regular season games, but playoff games. Not just this year. I mean, that team is set up for success a long time. And, Detroit's been through it. The fans have been through it for many, many years. And kind of like the Cubs, they're finally seeing a path to greatness. And, that constant bottom of the barrel torch has been passed down to us. That's us now.
I mean, Matt Eberflus is a weak coward and a bad football coach. And period. Luke Getsy is a coward and he's dumb. And, those straight facts. Nothing they can do will change my mind. They've made it up with their actions and their inabilities and their lack of accountability. That's the big thing to me is honestly, you can be dumb, you could be bad. You could be dumb and bad, but you better be accountable. You better be, hey, listen, I have to be better. The players played hard. I've got to do better. You could talk shit when you're watching film and you're there. Hey, right there, you played the wrong, but in front, you can't be throwing your players under the bus. Eberflus is a player he doesn't name names and throw them under the bus, but he collectively throws the players under the bus. I can't think of a time that he just went, yeah, that's on me. That's on my coaching staff. We better coach better. You don't hear that from him. And you can't be bad, stupid, and have no accountability. That is just the bad triad.
I see Matt Eberflus as Mr. Mackey from South Park, and he's got Justin Fields like he's got Cartman, and he just literally tosses him under a bus. We get a bus, okay, and then we toss Justin Fields under it, okay. Oh, he wrote a note, okay.
We beat the Panthers. Okay. It was a real good win. Okay.
I thought, maybe it was good to do the thing we did against the Panthers. Okay.
Oh God.
Well, we need everybody to get their turn. Can't have one player being in there 90% of the time. Okay. That's not how we do it here. Okay. I think I'd rather have Mr. Mackey as my coach right now.
Oh God.
Here in the hits principle, we say shit, not poo. Okay.
We say ass instead of buns. Or you say buns instead of ass. Step one, you say asses or buns. Yeah. He said, step one, instead of ass, say buns. Like kiss my buns and you're a buns hole.
He used that song to sing about the hits principle his first time in Hallis Hall.
Uh,
Oh, what a clown show.
uh, Step I, it's intelligence, not interceptions. Okay. Uh, so coaching staff F minus. It's that terrible. But there's some positives. Is Tyreek Stevenson looks like he's gonna be a dude.
Yeah, that was his best game as a Bear so far.
And we watched last year Kyler Gordon really, really struggle for the first half of the season. And then you watched him game by game when he started to figure things out. And you're like, oh, okay. Now why they drafted him. Tyreek Stevenson didn't have the low lows like Kyler Gordon, didn't have the injuries, but he went from okay, I see positive to the last couple games. You're like, all right, this is my boy here. I'm liking this dude. And Sweat is looking like you feel happy about that. That looks like all right. We gave up a really early second round pick. I can live with that. We wouldn't have drafted that guy in the second round pick. Um, Javon Dexter looks like he's becoming a dude.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and DJ Moore, we all know he's a dude.
He's too good for this team, honestly.
Um, I want to talk about our rookie Darnell Wright working
Mm-hmm.
working Hutchinson most of that game.
And that's what really sucks about this loss is you did not win from what I thought was an overall good effort blocking wise from the offensive line. The communication on the offensive line was a little less to be desired. You had plays taking way too long to get in. You had some penalties, but in terms of handling some of those guys on the Lions have some ferocious guys on that front seven, but I thought they handled them pretty well.
Yeah, I mean the shame is that Darnell Wright, the most, one of the highlight plays, he got beat, and it was the last play of the last offensive play of the game. He got beat, and then Fields fumbles, and it's a safety. Like that sucks because that's what people are going to remember. But he did a real good job against a guy that's in the running for defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, not an
like,
easy task.
yeah, he's not just like a guy. He's a guy that's like Aiden Hutchinson is like one of the guys that very well could win that award. And you put a rookie on him pretty much one on one, and he held his more than held his own.
Mm-hmm.
Tevin Jenkins is a dude. When that dude is healthy, I think this is like 3 games now that he has not allowed a pressure or a sack.
He's a Pro Bowler in my eyes, the way he's playing.
Oh yeah. And just he move him from left to right to left and doesn't miss a beat. And he looked good. He looked phenomenal. So you're like, all right. And Justin Fields looked like a guy you could win football games with. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, that's a lot of positives. The center position is abysmal.
Oh, that's a huge mess. And Ryan Poles, that has to be one of the top things to address.
Yeah. I mean, you better double dip there. You better sign a free agent and draft somebody.
Absolutely, you need depth because here's the thing: you could bring in a really good center, whether it's a free agent, whether it's a draftee, but if that's all you have, and you have to rely on injuries happening, if somebody gets hurt, then you can't have just one guy, and then it's like, well, you're screwed after that. You definitely need depth there.
Um, we could bring Trev or Jason Kelsey over because he does like hot dogs. We saw him at the Wiener Circle.
Hey, it's just early recruiting.
That would be awesome if the Wiener Circle just started recruiting him.
Yeah, well, do your part.
Yeah, I mean, the Whitey coat hair is so bad that they didn't even put him in with an injury. They're like, nah, he's done. That dude is beyond benched.
Yeah,
He's
and
he's not coming in unless there's a absolute emergency.
yeah, and unfortunately, it was time. Like, I appreciate the hell out of what Cody Whitehair has done for a number of years for the Bears, but he's cooked.
Yeah, he's done. Um, and so when Lucas Patrick got injured on a cheap shot that there was no penalty called,
Yeah, that
and
was
I don't
garbage.
and I don't think the league is doing anything about it, is
No.
he got cheap shotted. That should have been 15 yards right there. And that dude should have got fined because he blindsided him on a dead ball. Um, and Lucas Patrick wasn't playing great, but he wasn't Whitey Coathair level. But then you brought Dan Feeney in, who was blocking okay, but God could not get the snap count right. And how many times did Justin Fields have to scream at him?
You could tell he was getting frustrated.
That the center position is just atrocious. You feel okay with Braxton Jones. I still want to see more growth out of him, but he's been okay out there. Tevin Jenkins is a dude. Um, you know, Nate Davis. Nate Davis is, when he's on the field healthy, he's good. And Darnell Wright is real good. You feel like you're a center away from a pretty darn respectable offense. Your health and a center away from a respectable offensive line.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the fact that there's legit growth here that we've seen from this line is encouraging. I mean, and like you said, when Tevin Jenkins is healthy and Darnell Wright's a dude, like that was a good pick by Ryan Poles. That's earlier in the year, looking to this game, I thought, oh my God, Hutchinson and the Lions are going to sack him like 6, 7 times. But boy, did they hold their own.
And I'm not even that mad about the fumble, the sack fumble, safety.
Everything had fallen apart at that point.
I mean, how much time was left on the clock at that point?
They were fucked anyway.
Yeah, there was like 27 seconds left. Like, you weren't winning.
No.
There was, I mean, you would have to score a touchdown. It's not like you needed a field goal. You had to go a touchdown. And your quarterback's dropping back. He's looking deep. You're putting a prevent defense out there and just getting pressure with your stud defensive line. Like, all right, that happens. If that would have happened in the third quarter, or when you're trying to seal the game, that's a different story. Or you just need a field goal, different story. You had 27 seconds to get all the way down the field. Just is that happened. It sucks. You should not have been in that position.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This team is just it. I'm not, I know we do need to upgrade talent. There's room to improve, but you feel like you add another edge rusher opposite of Montez Sweat, and another safety, another wide receiver, and a center. this could very well be a pretty darn and a real head coach. You feel like you could win football games.
Yeah, no, I think so. It's just, do I trust this organization to hire the right coach? Right now, I can't say I do. That's the frustrating part. I don't know.
And the thing is with this team, the sad part is we don't even know the organizational structure of this team. We don't
Who's
even know
in charge?
who is in charge. We don't know. And I know everyone's like, Kevin Warren needs to clean. Kevin Warren has been here how long now?
Not even a year.
And we're actually further away from getting a new stadium, which is like that's his main thing. Build us a new stadium. We're further away from that than we
I haven't
were.
heard jack shit about that in a while.
No, you have not. And the longer you don't hear about it, the closer we are to them finding another location in the city. But so you've got Kevin Warren, who I'm not shitting on him. The only thing we known he was hired to do hasn't been done, and we're actually further away when he started than before he was hired. You've got Ding Dong George, who's a complete toolbox, and who does Ryan Poles even report to? Like, who is his boss?
Right.
I mean,
is it directly to Ding Dong George, or is it Kevin Warren?
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. We were told in a press conference that Poles would report directly to George. There'd be no middleman. But then they hired essentially a middleman, so we don't know. And we don't even know how long Ryan Poles' contract is. I mean, we don't know.
We don't.
They don't make that stuff public. They don't. It's subterfuge.
Well, someone's got to dig through his
lies.
Someone's got to dig through his files and find which paper with the purple crayon on it says Poles contract. And the C at the end is a K.
Somebody's got a Photoshop. You know when they have the signing where they've got the fancy pen and they're signing, just replace it with a purple crayon. And George sitting there smirking.
He puts a quill on his purple crayon.
When George went to pick up Poles from the airport in his Toyota Tercel or whatever he drives, he pulls up there and he pulls out a little box and they think they're going to light a stogie together. And it's just a really big purple crayon. He's like, that's yours. You're going to need it, big guy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know what they go or what they do. Like it, I think they have, now that people are healthy, I start looking at this team. I'm like, all right, you just played you went punch for punch with one of the best teams in the NFL, and you held your own in their stadium. And, you feel like they've got the players that they could do something. And you're like, all right, I'm feeling confident here that we can make this into a dogfight going into the end of it. But then the coaching staff just like handcuffs you every turn. How does this happen? And I don't know. It's frustrating. It's can the players overcome the coaching? You've got a handful of games left, and there's some real winnable games in there. I mean, Minnesota is playing with a quarterback that they traded for midseason, who was a bust, and that just found life this year.
Yeah, and I mean, they obviously lost a real tough one to the Denver Broncos, and I didn't really see how much of it happened. Like, point being, with the Josh Dobbs thing, you just wonder how long is that even going to last?
I don't think that long. I mean, so you've got a very winnable game against Minnesota. Detroit comes back. You get your bye, then Detroit. Then you got Cleveland, who's actually playing real tough.
Yeah, they are.
You've got Arizona, who we don't know who this Arizona team is because they've got their quarterback back. Are they gonna step up and make some noise? I don't know.
I don't know about make noise, but I think they'll definitely be better and not as much of a pushover as they once were.
You've got Atlanta, who they've got a lot of talent. They just have no quarterback.
Yeah.
And then you go to Green Bay to end the season. So, we look at Tankathon every week because it's that time of year. And as it stands, if the season were to end right now, the Bears would have picks number 1 and pick number 4. And the Bears, if Arizona or New England gets a win, Bears obviously move up because the Bears have the strength of schedule tiebreaker over pretty much not Atlanta, not Green Bay, but every other team in the bottom 10, the Bears have the tiebreaker over. So really, once if they get Arizona and New England get a win, Bears just leapfrog up to number 2. So there's still a possibility for numbers 1 and 2, but
Don't know how likely that is.
No, I don't think so either. But the Giants winning was big. Patriots play the Giants soon. What's Patriots looking like? Patriots they're on a bye this week. Then they play the Giants actually next week. Who knows who their quarterback is?
Probably gonna be Tommy DeVito.
No, the Patriots.
Oh, you said the Patriots.
Yeah. So Patriots play New York Giants next week. But then, man, the Patriots schedule: Chargers, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Denver, Buffalo, the Jets.
Mm. You know what kind of makes me a little nervous about the Panthers? They play the Tennessee Titans. And I'm not saying I pick the Panthers to win, but I could see them winning that game.
It's their most. It's probably their last winnable game. I mean, Tampa's not that bad. New Orleans is pretty good. Atlanta's not good, but they're a lot better than Carolina. Green Bay will find a way to beat them. Jacksonville, it's the end of the season. So I'd be surprised. I think they'll win. And then they got Tampa again, who I think Tampa's pretty good. So I think you're right. I think this is their best chance to get another win. It would be next week. What's Arizona? Man, the Bears need to lose to Arizona. They got to. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Bears will win that one. But they've got the Rams, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Bears, Eagles, Seattle. And
Going to be an exciting race to the bottom.
The Rams and the Bears are their only winnable games. So Carolina's got one winnable game. Arizona's got 2. The Patriots have I'm going to put an asterisk next to the Jets. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back, Patriots got 3 winnable games: Giants, Denver, Jets. If Aaron Rodgers comes back and they're fighting for a playoff spot, I'm going to say no, they don't have a chance. So they've got 2 to 3 winnable games. Bears have 1, 2, 3, 4 more winnable games. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying that games that they could win. Giants have 2 to 3, depending on who's hurt from the Rams. Tennessee has Carolina. It's a winnable one. 2 against Houston. They got a couple winnable games. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fight.
Yeah, it will be.
I just hope the Bears are able to pull it off. A coup would be 1-2. Is you own that board then.
Mm-hmm. You can have anything you want.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you at that point, especially if you think Justin Fields is a guy you're building on, and the reports are that Justin Fields, the Bears would have to be blown away by one of the quarterbacks in the draft to move on from Justin Fields. And I don't know if they will. I mean, maybe they will. I don't know if they will. And they have to be in the position to get him. I mean, if they wind up with 2 and 3 and only one quarterback blows them away, well, then they're not getting that quarterback. I think the Bears are going to wind up taking 2 non-quarterbacks. And we're all in love with Marvin Harrison because suddenly you got Marvin Harrison and DJ Moore.
Could you imagine that duo?
That's just an absolutely. I mean, how do you cover those dudes? I know everyone's wanting that offensive tackle from Penn State, Alu Fashuna, but I think they have way better needs than tackle. I think Braxton Jones is okay. Darnell Wright's obviously really good. Braxton Jones has not been terrible. Like I think they have other holes. You edge rusher. Even if you wanted to go cornerback and let Jalen Jones walk, like Kool-Aid McKinstry. He looks like a stud. That defensive lineman from Illinois. Man, this draft is looking like a ton of edge rushers and wide receivers in the first round. It's good for the Bears. They could use an edge rusher and a wide receiver.
Maybe there'll be a day where we don't have to look forward to the draft, but look forward to actually having a chance at winning something in January and February.
I love the NFL draft, but I would love it a lot more if my team wasn't a laughing stock.
Mm-hmm.
And because every time the announcers during the 20 minutes between picks are, it's not like, oh man, the Bears have this opportunity to get better. The Bears are in this position because they stunk all year long. Let's go through how bad they stunk.
And you're reminded of it again.
All right, what do you want to talk about next?
It's all more losing, right? But Sean, listen. I am trying not to get my hopes up. But I hate the fact that I go to bed every night thinking about what it would be like being at work and my phone exploding and the notification saying Shohei Ohtani to the Chicago Cubs.
I mean, all reports are that he wants to sign early.
Mm-hmm.
That he wants to sign, they were saying like very early. So if he signed in the next 2 or 3 weeks somewhere, not saying with the Cubs, but I would not be shocked at all.
Yeah.
I keep liking this idea more and more of Shohei Ohtani And I keep hearing rumors that there's a potential that he'd be willing to do like a 3-year deal so that he could still be young enough to get a long-term deal after. But I don't think I think this dude wants to find somewhere that's his home, and he's there and he knows it. It's going to be a team that's going to try to win, and it's a place that he likes.
It
And
just scares me because I still just think he's going to end up with the Dodgers, and I pray I'm wrong.
I mean, it's possible. And I was wondering, like, people are like, oh, he wants to stay on the West Coast, wants to stay on the West Coast. And I was like, why does he want to stay on the West Coast? Apparently, it's because it's a shorter flight to Japan.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay. Well, and that makes me feel a lot better about, okay, that's like, how often is he going there that that an extra 4 hours in the airplane is going to change his trajectory. Like, if it was the weather, he likes, okay, I get it. If he wants to live in the off season on the West Coast, oh, have at it. Spend the winters there. Awesome. Have fun. Like, nothing really seems like he couldn't come to Chicago from those outside, factors of, like, it's not like, oh, his family is all settled in, his kids are in school in Southern California and he doesn't want to take them out of school. No, that's not the case. So if he wanted to live closer to Japan, all right, have your summer house or your winter house on the West Coast and have a place here in Chicago for when you're playing with the Cubs for the next 10 years. I don't see that as such a thing where, it's going to factor that heavily into your decision. I mean, going to the Dodgers because they're a winning organization and they'll pay you a lot of money makes sense. But, you're not playing for the A's. You've got a handful of teams that are winning programs that can pay you. The ones that are, maybe Mariners seem like a dark horse.
I read a report lately that they might not be in on that.
I don't think so. I'm just saying they're a team that's on the rise that would probably spend the money. I could see that. I don't. They're not anywhere near the top, but I'm just saying is just kind of going down the list. Giants, I think that's a possibility. I think the Dodgers are probably the front runner. You never count the Yankees out, obviously. The Cubs are in on it. I'm going to name a team that, let's see. I'm trying to go through the front runners. Do you ever count Boston out? Probably not. But not front runner. Nobody in the White Sox division, I don't think.
No. Watch. Shohei Ohtani signs with the Royals.
Maybe Texas, the Rangers.
Yeah, unlikely, but you can't fully rule them out. They obviously just won the World Series. They've spent before, obviously.
I've heard rumblings about Atlanta. I don't think Atlanta is going to get him.
The team that I really think could be not exactly a dark horse, but I feel like the Giants seem like they might have a bigger chance than we think.
I'm going to throw a name out there where salary doesn't matter because they don't have a salary. They don't pay anybody.
Oakland?
No, but they're actually a good baseball team. Baltimore. I don't think he's going to go to Baltimore. I'm just saying that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, now I do think Baltimore's main focus is going to be pitching, but I hear what you're saying.
I mean, they won 101 games and their payroll is like stupid low. I think it's like 40 million. something stupid. It's
Well, yeah,
really
I mean, most of that lineup is their draftees. They're all on, pre-arb deals.
that would be hilarious if 50 something percent of your salary cap is Shohei Ohtani.
But you do know that the owner of the Baltimore Orioles is historically very stingy. And you know that a lot of those guys, when the time comes to be paid, are not going to be around.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, they're going to have to win with what they got now, and then that's it. Let's see. I don't think Arizona will be in there. The Padres are trying to cut salary. Colorado's not bringing them. Giants possible. Dodgers, good chance. Milwaukee, no. Cincinnati, no. Pittsburgh, no. St. Louis, probably no. There's not that many teams. So when you're talking about the Cubs, like saying, "Yeah, we're in," and they and the the chatter is the Cubs are going strong. Like you're like, okay, it's not a 1 in 30 chance. It's like a 1 in 5.
The odds have skyrocketed over the past like few weeks, and there's my whole thing is it's the Dodgers. It's the damn Dodgers being there. If they weren't a factor, I'd feel even more better. And I think that there is a chance here that this could come to reality. It's the damn Dodgers, man. They always seem to get who they want.
Do you want to know the betting odds for the team he signs with?
Aren't the Cubs like 3-1 chance or whatever that is? What is it down the line?
All right, so uh the Dodgers are plus 110 with the highest odds of signing him. Cubs are plus 350, second highest. Then the Giants, Mets, Yankees, Rangers, Red Sox, Mariners, Angels, Phillies, Blue Jays, Padres, and the field. So far and away, the Dodgers and the Cubs are the two best Vegas odds.
Yeah. And you heard the report from Bruce Levine that it's basically between the two teams, he believes, based on what he's heard from the inside.
And the Vegas odds have gotten worse for the Dodgers over the past week.
You're putting hope in my head.
Just saying. I'm just saying. I've seen plenty of photoshops of what Shohei Ohtani would look like in a Cubs uniform, and I will tell you, it looks awesome.
I feel like in your garage you have the world's biggest pot full of meatball sauce, and you have like a portable gas burner underneath, and you're already heating it up, and you have like a giant like repurposed tree branch used to stir up the meatball sauce.
I carved it from a larger tree branch. Uh, I mean,
oh man, could you imagine if he came to the north side?
yeah, I mean, it would be awesome. There are the season, the off season is not over if they don't get Ohtani. But boy, that be nice. Uh, if you are like, if you come from the future and you're like, I am from 3 months in the future, and the Cubs have signed Shohei Ohtani and Cody Bellinger. I'm like, bruh.
Ghost of Christmas Future. He doesn't say anything. He just waves his skeletal arms and shows you the freaking jerseys. But we can agree on one thing, right? If they do get Shohei Ohtani and they get him quickly, you can probably kiss Bellinger goodbye, right?
Probably, but still
I'm not saying
writing it off.
100%. I'm just saying odds.
Probably, but I'm not closing that door. Because just because you get Shohei Ohtani doesn't mean that all is right in the world. You still got holes. The Cubs just are bringing back Patrick Wisdom, which a lot of people are not happy about. I don't understand. I mean, if you're like, he's our number 4 cleanup hitter and starting every day at third base, all right, maybe I'm not so happy. But if he's a rotate, like he's a guy that fills in at DH, fills in at first base, fills in at third base, and is a bench guy with 30 home run power. Yeah, for that cheap, yeah, why wouldn't you want that?
Yeah, I mean, right now you're signing in for depth and insurance. I mean, you're getting really good power for less than $3 million. And yeah, he's very one dimensional. And I think last year I talked about, like, okay, this needs to be the end of this era. But honestly, for the time being, if you give him a cheap contract like that, it's like a few steps above giving somebody a minor league deal. We can confidently say that he's not going to be the everyday guy, nor should he be. That would be a problem if there was that situation, but it's for just organizational depth. And there's no guarantee that he's even going to be on the roster next year. You can sign him to a cheap deal, and if you decide that there's no place for him, then you can move on with no financial commitment. It's $2.7 million. It's pennies. So I'm okay with it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not upset about it.
That's 5% of a Shohei Ohtani contract, a yearly contract. But the signing Shohei Ohtani, period, should not end your off-season plan.
Oh no, it's not all or nothing with Shohei Ohtani. He's the grand prize of a number of possible big prizes.
If I'm Jed, you make your pitch. You sit down, you say, here's why you should come here. And then you go, Seiya, here's the company credit card. Woo this man. Whatever you need to do it. Woo this man. Woo him. Take him to fancy restaurants. We'll get a private showing of the new Godzilla movie. Like whatever. This is it.
The Cubs company credit card is a smiling Tom Ricketts face on it.
It's got a pantsless mascot.
The company credit card.
But yeah, that's what you do. Is Shohei Ohtani is your best option. You go, Yu Darvish, let's bring him back in. He had a good time here. Sell him on Chicago. The 3 of them going out and having a blast.
Didn't Yu Darvish reportedly give a glowing endorsement of being a Cub?
Yeah, the city and the team. That's the word on the street is that Shohei Ohtani asked Yu Darvish about playing for the Cubs and got a glowing. I mean, the stadium is amazing. It's a historic place. Playing daytime games is awesome. Cubs fans are the best. It's a world-class city. And you've got the best uniforms in baseball. And they're going to give you a lot of money.
Well, let's hope it was enough. And let's hope he wants to play with his buddy Seiya.
Then it just comes down to is how else do you fill out this roster? You've got first base, you got third base, and if you sign Ohtani, I guess
that's your DH.
That's your DH, occasional outfielder. It's you got to fill out those 2 corner spots, and you can't just traipse out whoever. I mean, if you want to sign Bellinger too, you got first base covered. Then you can traipse whoever you want at third. I don't care. Third base, whatever. You've got Bellinger and you've got Ohtani. I'm okay with whoever else you're gonna traipse out there. You could have a fan of the day playing third base.
It's you.
I mean, I know a third baseman a couple miles south that's probably available.
All we need is little Nick Madrigal. We're fine.
Just teeny tiny little Nick Madrigal. But I don't.
Yeah, that's fine. Hey, he was really good at third base last year, surprisingly.
Yeah, yeah, he was. I mean, the the dream scenario would be you find this magic and Christopher Morel can play a solid third base. You're like, okay, that's our third baseman. Right? You find that magic of what you did to Nick
Mm-hmm.
Madrigal. If you can do that for Christopher Morel, that's your third baseman. Then you know,
Assuming you don't trade him for Juan Soto, yes. Or Pete Alonso.
question then. If you could either trade for Juan Soto, knowing that he's only got 1 year left on his deal, or sign, say, Shohei Ohtani, which one are you doing?
Wait, what was the first option?
You're trading for Juan Soto, knowing that he
Oh,
only has like 1 year left on his deal.
I'd rather sign Ohtani. Don't get me wrong. I'm just if you don't sign Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean, you if you sign Juan or trade for Juan Soto, and you don't get Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani unless you're shipping out Ian Happ. Is that fair?
Well, it possibly, yeah.
Because you're not going to have Ian Happ be your bench guy.
No, you're not.
So it's Juan Soto in, Ian Happ or Seiya Suzuki out. And if you're going after Shohei Ohtani, it's probably not going to be Seiya Suzuki out. That'd be counterproductive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably Ian Happ, unless you really don't feel that PCA is ready and Ian Happ becomes your center fielder.
Well, I mean, that's going to be something interesting to watch in camp because it was pretty clear last year that PCA's bat was not ready yet for the majors, and there's going to need to be more seasoning with him.
I mean, if that's a possibility, then man, if you get Juan Soto in left, Happ in center, Suzuki in right, Ohtani at DH. I mean that's guarantees no Bellinger. That means Matt Mervis at first.
He's still a thing. Kind of. I mean, when Matt Mervis went back down and the Cubs started winning with Bellinger at first, you really didn't hear anything about it. He was still doing well in the minors, but he wasn't really a topic of conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of what the Cubs, that's kind of why positional versatility is really good. And that's the one thing that the World Series team had to make it a lot easier to puzzle piece this is players that could play multiple positions, made everything a lot easier fitting puzzles together. Like when you're like, oh, sign Bellinger, put him at first. Like, that's like that, him playing first base and a good first base and center field, that gives you a lot of versatility. He could play DH, he could play first, he could play center, or either, I guess he could play either corner spot too. So he can play five, you can put him in 5 spots. Juan Soto's got 2. He could be right or left field. Ohtani is or DH. Ohtani is corner, outfield, or DH. Patrick Wisdom is 2. He's third base. You could put him at first in a pinch. You know, if you had to, not for a long stretch. Uh, Morel is a positionless bat. You got to find a home for him. He's got one spot. He's DH right now. Hopefully they can figure out a way to get him in a position. It's part of the problem right now is Suzuki's corner outfielder. Your infielders full of just infielders. You can't move guys around. So the fact that you need first and third baseman, that puts you in a bind because there's not a ton of first and third basemen out there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because obviously you have Matt Chapman, but I really, I want to stay away from that. That offensive regression is really alarming.
Yeah. Let's see. Who is highest first outside of Cody Bellinger? Who are your highest rated first and third basemen in free agency?
I mean, Matt Chapman is going to get paid by somebody. I just don't really want it to be the Cubs, so he's still got to be up there, right?
Matt Chapman, MLB.com ranks him as 10th at 31 years old.
Okay. Yeah. Isn't Brandon Belt a free agent?
Rhys Hoskins.
Oh, well, that he was been rumored to be linked with the Cubs.
So he's a first baseman with a decent pop in his bat. Can Whit Merrifield play third? Or is he just a middle infield? Candelario is ranked 22nd.
I don't see him coming back.
MLB has the potential fits as the Blue Jays, Cubs, and Dodgers. That was it for the top 25. Here's the best free agents by each position. Let's see. First base, Rhys Hoskins, Brandon Belt, Garrett Cooper, CJ Cron. I don't even know who that is.
Oh, CJ Cron? He's been pretty good, but I think he got hurt recently, but
let's see. Third baseman, Matt Chapman, Candelario, Josh Donaldson, who I'm just going to put a veto on now, Evan Longoria, Mike Moustakas. Not a good list.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, honestly, you've got some notable names in free agency offensive wise, but it's kind of it's limited. It's not deep at all in terms of position players for bats.
I mean, that's why I still think Cody Bellinger is important. Is he gives you the versatility to play in the outfield, but he can play first base and give you that pop in the middle of your lineup.
It's kind of funny with Bellinger because, there are people who think that last year was no fluke, and there are other people who are worried that there's going to be major regression just because he didn't hit the ball particularly hard last year, but he found a lot of grass. But I think the way Bellinger is evolving, it's going to be a little less pop and hard hit and more kind of poking the ball around a bit more because he really reduced his swing and miss rate last year, and the Cubs helped rehab his swing again because, obviously things went wrong when he was playing hurt, but you're kind of seeing a bit of an involvement of Bellinger where he's probably not going to be that 30-plus home run guy. It's just a matter of, is his quote-unquote more soft approach where he's trying to make contact a bit more, how is that going to sustain in getting results in terms of like expecting batting average and WOBA and all that stuff? Because I think his expecting batting average last year, he batted over 300, but his expected batting average based on a number of things, including, exit velocity and all that stuff, was like 270, which still isn't bad, but you just wonder if there's going to be some regression in there. But I think it's also fair to assume that you're going to get some good stuff out of Bellinger if he's healthy, because he's a proven commodity. There's just questions you go back and forth on.
The numbers he put up last year is he got hurt last year too. And, that factors into things. I think at the end of the, if you believe his agent, which I have to, I don't have anything else to say otherwise, is he was playing hurt a lot with the Dodgers and just led to bad numbers. And obviously the Cubs thought enough of him because they paid him a good chunk of change. He wasn't paid scrap heap money or reclamation project money. The Cubs paid him, it was a 1-year deal, but it was like $20 million. Like they paid
17 and a half, was it?
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money, yeah. Yeah.
A lot of money that they must have been very confident that he would play well. So that makes me feel good that they saw that and went, yeah, we're confident we could do that. And little investment, it's a big one-time investment, but you're not locked in if he wasn't playing well. But he played really well, and he liked it here. The fans love him. I would love to have him back. I mean, I would still rather have Shohei Ohtani just because that's like a generational dude.
Well, yeah.
That's a 10-war dude almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dan Bernstein was saying that, you just as back of the envelope math, you pay a guy $10 million per war, and this is a 9-war guy. You could pay him $50 million a year, and he's a bargain.
Right.
And I'm sure the Cubs, nerds are calculating how much money does signing Shohei Ohtani bring to the organization.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in terms of value, think about the international market. How much that could bring to you. It's not pocket change, that's for sure.
Yeah. Is your team, it brings you a certain amount of money into your organization, just in sales and sponsorships and et cetera, but the value of your franchise grows. And that's a huge part of it. Is the Ricketts family, they don't need the annual income that you make from this team. That's not the part that matters to them. It's to them, if the team itself operates at net zero, they're fine. They're billionaires. Their concern is this is an investment. If they sell this team, like what did they buy the team for? Cubs purchase
back in 2009.
Yeah.
Mm.
$845 million. No, that can't be right. So they purchased the team for $900 million, and the team is worth like $4 billion. It's a pretty good return on investment. And not just that, now they own, like, how much of that land around Wrigley Field do they own?
You bought the land around Wrigley, you rebuilt it, you renovated the ballpark, you won the World Series, you have your TV network, you have your sports book. You really increased the value.
Yeah. And you own all of this land in a very valuable area. And you've got hotels and restaurants, and you bought the extra seats for the stadium that's very small. So all those rooftop seats, those are yours too. Like, you own all of it. And that's their view. It doesn't matter if they make money per year. It's not how they make money. They make money through investing. So they could go out and get Bellinger. They could go out and get Ohtani, both of them. They could go out and get that Japanese pitcher that it's about to post or just posted.
Just posted today, Yamamoto.
Yeah. Like, you could go get him. You could go get them all. Like, you can. You're going to go into the max, but that's not your concern. You make a lot of money as the Cubs. You know, you've got into that. You're into that echelon now of the Dodgers. So you, as an owner, you made billions of dollars from just owning the Cubs now, from what you've done. You may not realize all that profit until a later point, but in your portfolio now, like, you've quadrupled your investment, more than quadrupled your investment. And so you're at the point now, doesn't matter what you spend because you just want to keep a valuable product on the field, because the longer you stay as a relevant baseball team, the more value your team brings.
The more people are going to buy tickets, the higher ticket prices will be, which is more money for you. The more people will come to your sports book, the more people will watch marquee, the more jerseys, merchandise, all that will just skyrocket. So pay up, Mr. Ricketts. You want a good ROI and you want to make it better, you got to spend money to make money.
And then on the other side of town, you traded Aaron Bummer.
Yeah, and I feel like this trade, you got 5 guys back, and you're like, hey, Sakura was really good a few years ago before he missed 2 years due to injury. Is there something in there? I don't know. Maybe we'll see. You got guys that it looked like Atlanta was trying to get rid of, but that's because they're an embarrassment of riches and they're such a good organization. They don't, the spare parts they could get rid of. But if the Sox are looking to turn things over and use 2024 as like a rebuild evaluation year, then okay, you make that trade and you see what you can get in some of those guys if there's any value. So not necessarily a bad trade for the Sox. I think it could end up being okay. You know, maybe you find some value in some of those guys. I don't know, but you trade away Aaron Bummer. You know, I don't think the Sox really lost anything with this trade.
No, I mean, he had a bad year last year, and you give up his salary, and you're not competing next year anyway. So Aaron Bummer is worthless. You basically got a guy that you didn't need and you didn't want to pay. You got 5 lottery tickets.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, lottery tickets is the way that you could say it, and it's low risk, high reward. Because maybe 1 or 2 of those guys ends up being something. You don't know. And if you're not going to contend for a World Series next year, then's the time to do it. And I think for Atlanta's side, I think Aaron Bummer is one of those guys where the numbers don't look good, but you can easily see Atlanta unlocking something there.
Yeah, Soroka was a guy that started strong. He missed 21 and 22 because of 2 different Achilles tendon tears.
Ugh, it sucks.
And then he missed last year because or his 2023 season ended with a shoulder injury. Which he also had the same shoulder injury in 2018 and 2019. So really, he's a guy that you're like, love his stuff, can't stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Matzik had Tommy John, so he missed all last year. So he should be ready this year. Just like I said, these are guys that you're like high upside, injuries or some other concern that you're just taking a flyer.
Yeah, and I mean, really, if you're going to be just looking to field the team next year, you need bodies.
Yeah, but 5 lottery tickets is so much better than 1 lottery ticket, 2 lottery tickets, or 3 lottery tickets.
Yeah, I think it's
how many trades. How many trades have been where the throw-in guy, the sweetener, is the one that ended up being the best piece?
Happens often.
Yeah, I mean, look at the the Cubs gave up Cease as a sweetener.
Well, remember when Kyle Hendricks came back in the Ryan Dempster trade as just a throw-in?
Wasn't Jake Arrieta a sweetener?
Pedro Strop and Jake Arrieta, it was kind of a, I don't know if it was really a sweetener, but
But yeah, there's always sweeteners, or not the name guy that ends up being the guy. And so it's the getting another player or two or three or four in that package. And I'm sure for the Braves, these are probably Rule 5 guys, or
they were
players.
going to be non-tendered.
Yeah, these are guys that they're not going to have anyway. And so for the White Sox, they're like, okay, cool. We can have our pick of the broken toys that we can cobble together. Like, that's not a bad thing. I don't think that's a bad trade.
No, I don't think so either.
It's a, hey, if we gave up, even if Aaron Bummer goes out and wins the World Series and looks great,
what was he going to do on a team that's looking to turn things over?
It's one thing if he was like a front of rotation ace and you trade him. That doesn't look good. He's a middle reliever. He's not a closer. He's not a starter. He's a middle reliever. And I'm not shitting on middle relievers. They have a value, but they're the most replaceable players on your team usually.
Right. And having Aaron Bummer on your team wasn't the difference between you winning a pennant or not.
Right. But that's a team that has so much work to do.
Yes, they do.
I know the Cubs have a lot of work to do, but the White Sox have just so much work to do. And I have a feeling that at some point you're going to be like, there's no way this is the team that they're fielding. They've got something else up their sleeve, and up their sleeve is just more sleeve. And they're going to traipse out a team that you just go, okay, all right.
Well, you're hearing rumors about Dylan Cease and the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah. Dylan Cease to the Dodgers. You're hearing that's definitely a rumor. And it's got enough steam where I'm hearing it from multiple sources.
I would not be surprised if a deal got done. I really wouldn't be.
Jared doesn't want to pay him.
Right, exactly. I mean, he's coming up in a few years, and if you're going to be turning things over, and maybe you could get some serious capital back and restock your farm system with that. I mean, that could speed up this process. If you're going to do a rebuild, there are some potential trades the Sox can do if it's a trader's market where they can rebuild their system fast and maybe be on a much better track before we know it.
The problem is Dylan Cease, they're trading him. I'm not going to say rock bottom trade value, but not high trade value.
It's not the highest trade value, but you know what? The market fluctuates. And the fact that Aaron Nola had similar numbers to Dylan Cease over the past few years that he did in 2023, and he got that money, it's starting like that's going to come at a premium price. A dude who's been durable for the most part over the past few years.
I think, for me, if I'm the Dodgers or one of the other, marquee winning programs, I'm 100% trying to trade for Dylan Cease. I think he's somebody that if you put him on your roster where the whole world isn't on his shoulders carrying that rotation, and you've got bats around him, I think you're going to see that ace pop up again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think he's got it in him. There's just, he's got to tick down on the long at bats because his pitch count gets really high by the fourth or fifth inning. I think that's his biggest problem.
You put him in that pitch lab again. Mwah.
Dodgers can unlock something.
I'm talking about send him to the Cubs, put him in that pitch lab. Mwah.
Oh, that pitch lab. Arf, arf.
You got him there, and he's like, I don't have to worry about having pitching with like a where my team's only going to score 2 runs because Shohei Ohtani's he's gonna hit a home run and carry this team. I just got to go out and get my outs. That's all I got to worry about. And then suddenly he's throwing 3 hitters, and then you just wonder what he's going to say on the parade float when he's giving his speech when the Cubs win the World Series.
We have White Sox listeners too. I may be a Cub fan, but I'm not like that.
No, just messing. But I still think he's got a lot of value.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he's just in a really tough spot with the White Sox, and he's young enough where the White Sox wanted to, they could theoretically keep him and build around him.
But then you got to pay him.
You got to pay him, and you got to pay him for being the best player on a lean years team, or one of your best players. I'm hearing rumors of Eloy getting traded.
I mean, I really do think that based on what we're hearing from the insiders and other experts is that the White Sox are not really holding anyone back, that they're willing to listen to deals for pretty much everybody.
I mean, it honestly makes sense. Like, what are you going to do? You need your farm systems. You replenished it a little bit. You're not the dregs anymore. You don't have a strong farm system. You don't have a lot of guys that are just ready to go, but you don't have anybody at the major league level. You got no rotation. You've got a couple of bats, but you got a terrible manager and a bad culture. And, so it's a real tough position that, Getz is got a lot of work cut out for him, and he's gonna have to make some painful decisions. And I think Dylan Cease, Eloy, you could trade him. It's not the most painful of trades. People like him, but
it ain't the talent. It's he's never healthy.
Yeah. You look at Luis Robert. That's a painful trade if you trade him.
I don't think they're trading Luis Robert. I really don't.
I don't think so either. You just don't feel like you get the value for him, and he's young enough and he's got a contract already. Feel like
a very club friendly one.
Very club friendly. Cease is a guy that you're like, all right, we're going to have to pay him sooner rather than later, and you can get value for him. That one makes sense. You trade Eloy because somebody's going to capitalize on that bat, hoping that they feel like they could keep him healthy, and you're like, we could put him at DH and be healthy. Yeah, there's just so many holes on there. This is not going to be a quick rebuild.
What you hope for is if they trade is that they get the right prospects, because I will say this, I feel like based on what we've heard from Chris Getz is I do feel like that he realizes that they're going to have to part ways with a lot of this. I mean, you've already gotten started on that, your predecessor and you alone. I mean, because look, we talked about this before, but that the core that Han built, that didn't do exactly what you'd hoped, but you had your 2 years of playoffs and then things fizzled out. That era that you rebuilt for, you look at those guys, whether they were free agents, draftees, traded for prospects, whatever. I mean, look at the list that's now gone. Lucas Giolito's gone. Yasmani Grandal is gone. Jose Abreu is gone. Tim Anderson is now gone. I think Eloy and Cease could very well be gone. Dallas Keuchel's long gone. Lance Lynn's gone. Joe Kelly's gone.
Lance Lynn's gone to St. Louis.
Yeah, he's back with the Cardinals. So, like I said, I don't think they trade Luis Robert. I think they try to trade Eloy. I think Dylan Cease does get moved. I don't think Yoan Moncada, I just don't know if there's going to be any serious bidders for him. He ended last year on a good note. He raised his numbers up a bit. And he's a very good defensive third baseman. Very, very good. But what his trade value is, what his market is, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of Band-Aid ripping off, and you're going to
But
have.
let me ask you this: how hard are some of these trades truly going to be? Because I think a lot of White Sox fans are over this whole thing.
I want to frame this right, because I don't think they're over these players. I think they genuinely like these players. I think they're over. I think they're over the organization, and they're fed up. If you had a real owner and that was trying to win, you would like some of these players. But
I think a lot of people are fed up with Eloy. Like every Sox fan I know is done with Eloy.
Eloy's not that painful of a one, though. I think the Dylan Cease one's going to hurt, because
I agree. I agree.
think especially if he goes to the Dodgers and they win a World Series, and he's not going to be the ace on the team, but he's gonna get that ring, and you're going to see him, or if he's comes back to Cy Young caliber stuff, you're going to be like, man, what the hell? And that one's going to suck to watch. If you trade Luis Robert, it's going to suck to watch him be really good somewhere. Those are the.
Yeah, I don't think they want to trade. I don't think the fans want to trade Luis Robert, because that's a guy you can build around. But
I mean, I don't think they miss Tim Anderson, because he had a really bad season, and all the other stuff that went along with it. I think they were just. I think
that's mixed.
I think people they appreciate what he was. I think most people, even the people that liked him, are just like, you know what, it is what it is. And
you got Colson Montgomery potentially coming up soon.
Yeah, and I don't think he's ever going to come back somewhere else. And he might have a rebound where you're like, oh, he's not that bad. But I don't think you're going to see Tim Anderson batting 300 and being an all-star anymore.
I don't know. We'll see.
And we'll see. I don't think so, though. I don't think so.
If I can tell you this. I think if they traded Moncada, Sox fans would not mind. I think Sox fans are really fed up with him.
Oh yeah, Moncada. I think fans would have a contest to see who could drive him out of town.
Racing down the Dan Ryan.
Yeah.
Instead of the NASCAR race or whatever, it's the race to drive Moncada out of 35th and Shields.
And it looks like Mario Kart. You got people throwing turtle shells out of the back. You're racing, send him out of town, or Tim Anderson, and you see who can get out faster.
I don't know what your buddy Gary's opinions are on Moncada, but like I have this visual of him just throwing bananas out of his car.
Yeah, I think everybody's over Moncada. We keep talking about like, oh, the guy's got potential, and he's nothing.
And it seems like when he goes on these tears, it's always like, okay, you're destroying the Royals and the A's, and the season's already over. And, maybe he does rebound next year, but it's kind of one of those, listen, we've said this over and over ad nauseum. We're not going to believe it until we actually see it.
Yeah, and the money he makes. He makes too much monies. Like, you know how much money he's going to make this year?
Isn't it like $24 million?
$24 million.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. So you better hope that turnaround season comes, because that's a lot of money.
It's a whole lot of money.
And I really thought last year was going to be that season. And yeah, sure, he went on a bit of a tear at the end and raised his numbers to pretty good. I mean, I should say solid, respectable, but this was a guy that was supposed to be a superstar. You don't want okay, decent. You want superstar numbers.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is built rock solid. He's 6'2", 225. Like, you're like, oh, here we go. Man, he gives you what, 11 home runs, 10 home runs last year,
Right.
and 1.2 F4.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his numbers, you're like, okay, out of context, that's a decent ball player, like an okay ball player, but man, he was once the number one prospect in all of baseball.
I mean, most of his WAR is he's a good glove.
Right, exactly. He's a great defender.
All right, what do you think Yohan Moncada last year was his walk rate? I'll give you
11%? 11%?
his high in his career was 13.6 walk rate. What do you
Okay.
and you think last year was 11?
Maybe 10, 9, 8, like let's say 9 to 10%.
5.6.
Wow, that low? Wow.
Do you know what his K rate was?
23%?
30.
That high. I know he had a lot of strikeout problems early in his career, but yeah.
A 260 batting average, 425 slugging. Uh, WRC plus of 98.
Yeah, I mean those are like that's average.
And the thing is, and I'm going to throw a number out there that you're like, okay, his BABIP was 350.
Wow.
You got to cut down on those strikeouts. If you can put the ball in play.
Yeah, I'm looking at his numbers now. Yeah, 305 is a below on base. 260 average is like right about average. Slugging 425, decent. WRC plus 98, that's like the definition of average. But boy, do you remember how bad his 2022 was?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, 76 WRC plus. Yikes.
But look at his 2019. 25 home runs. Uh, his walks were up, his strikeouts were down.
WRC plus a 139. That was the year we all thought, here it is. Here's the superstar.
5.5 F4, 406 BABIP, 548 slugging.
Because, I mean, his two best years in the big leagues were 2019 and 2021. 2021, like the slash line, 263, okay. 375 on base, that's really good. 412 slugging, Home run total, 14, But WRC plus 120, that's pretty good. That is pretty darn good. You didn't have the power hitter that year, but you at least had the production.
He's never got his power back from when he got COVID.
No, I mean, he had the 1 year of 25 homers and never reached that again.
He got COVID, and that power just zapped. Even when the batting average was fine, and once he hit the ball, he hit it in play. It just that power never regained.
Was it the power that never regained, or was it the juice balls of 2019? I know he came in the league expecting big power, but you notice that his one best power year was the insane juiced ball year.
I mean, I'm looking at some of his advanced stats here. The barrel percent I'm going to go 2019 up to last year. 10.8, 6.2, which was that bad year. 8.2, 9.8, 10.1. So most of those years are pretty consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Hard hit rate from 2019 to last year, 47.9. I'm going to skip 2020. That was just an abysmal year.
Yeah.
47.9, 40.5, 37.2, 39. So dipped a little bit, but not terrible. So he's hit when he hits the ball, he's hitting it hard.
But what's the launch angles? That's the other question. What are the launch angles? What's the ground ball rate? I think I have that here, batted ball. I mean, the ground ball rate through his career has been really the same.
Yeah, it's really consistent.
It's 41.3 in his career, and it's consistent within that range.
Yeah, he's a little more erratic with the fly ball, but not terrible. I mean, God, most of his advanced stats are not that different.
No, they're not.
It comes down to making contact.
Yeah.
Makes
I was expecting the ground ball rate to be a lot higher, honestly. Compared to other years, I should say.
It makes you wonder, like, is he fixable? He's 28. Is he fixable?
If he's healthy, I think so. I think one of the things that we do underestimate about Makata is we talk about COVID, but he's had some little nagging injuries. Like, if I remember correctly, he started 2022 injured. And
he's had a lot of nicks and injuries.
Right. And I just don't think he was ever 100% in 2022. And maybe he didn't really get back to being 100% until sometime this year, and then he started kind of hitting again towards the end. I don't know.
Let's see. Is there some of the injury history? Let's see. 2020 leg injury, 2021 COVID, 2021 hand.
Didn't he have a back injury at some point, or am I imagining that?
I think so.
Because back injuries can have an effect on power.
Let's see. Back injury.
Those are tricky.
That was last year. He had a knee injury.
He's had some dinks in his side. So I do think that plays a factor.
He had a couple of back injuries, probably the same back injury, just popping up all last year. I mean, the problem with trading for him is, are you going to get the White Sox to eat a lot of that contract?
Right.
If the White Sox eat a lot of that contract,
then you might have a suitor, right?
Yeah.
It's also just depending on who's going to be in that market. Who's in because, I mean, wouldn't you want to do your due diligence in free agency first?
Yeah, there's just the third baseman market is just very slim.
Right, but I mean, if you're really in need of a third baseman and there's the few that they're there, wouldn't you want to try to just spend money first if you thought they were a good fit?
Oh, I mean, it sort of depends. Like, if you're a team that's full of bats and you're like, you know what, are like, I'm not saying the Cubs, but I'm saying a situation like the Cubs. You've got a shortstop and a second baseman that can hit. Are you, if the White Sox were willing to eat a big chunk of that money and you didn't have to give up a big name prospect and you took him and you're like, you know what, we're going, if he gives us a rock solid glove, whatever bat he gives us, we can live with. Um, that might be a better scenario than the free agents.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
That's fair.
if you're looking for, some sort of definitive bat, then probably he's not the answer. Um, uh, you also have to factor in Getz is a brand new GM. It's you don't have that rapport with him that you might with Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams, who have been there for a long time. Um, is it easier, harder to pull off a trade? There's a lot of factors, but if you're a team that could get away with just a glove and whatever bat you get, and if he turns it around, awesome. Um, but if he doesn't, you can live with just having a good fielding third baseman. That's not a bad option.
Right.
Let's give a couple quick minutes on the Bulls and the Blackhawks.
Well, I mean, I think the big thing is the trade rumors surrounding Zach LaVine.
Yeah, I think Zach knows he's getting traded. The
That
Bulls,
relationship is over.
yeah. And it's better to move him out before it's not bad, but I could see this relationship going south fairly quickly.
I think it's already gone south.
I
You
don't
saw the way he walked off the court the other day.
I think it's probably not good. I don't think is south though. I don't think it's one of those Latrell Sprewells where he's punching people and anything like that. But I think there's probably frustration on both sides, and you know the from the Bulls' perspective, he's not taking you to that next level, and you're paying him to be that guy that takes you to that next level. And I I think trading him is probably the right thing to do, because if you wait too long, they're not a good team, but they're not a bottom feeder. So if you keep him, you're not going to have a good draft pick, and you're going to have to wait until next year to kind of bottom out or rebuild or whatever you're going to do. I think it's probably time to move him, and then see how things go. Either you turn it around because they want to play a different style of basketball than Zach LaVine wants to play, and I don't think he's fully buying into what they're trying to do. And maybe it turns around somewhat with a different guy in that role, and that's buying into what Donovan wants to do. Or you just we lost Zach LaVine and now we really suck, and we just go down the tubes, and then you trade off everybody and just tank. I think whatever it is the Zach LaVine's the linchpin to either figure it out or bottom out.
I mean, this team right now they're down 10 with a few minutes to go. So if they do indeed lose tonight, they'll be 5-10. They'll be at best 6-9, at worst 5-10. That's not good.
Right.
I know it's early, but that's not good. Like, there's nothing I look at this team where like, oh yeah, we're going to turn it around and be a legit playoff contender. I just no.
Yeah, I mean it's they're not a legit playoff contender at this point, and you've got to either sell and bottom out or sell, and uh, it's hard to say addition by subtraction of an all-star player, but yeah, that's your hope, is addition by subtraction is this. If everybody buys in with whoever's going to replace him in the lineup, maybe maybe you win by having a better cohesive team, or you just bottom out and hope whoever is going to be in the draft is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know which teams are
It's
be
bleak.
Yeah, it's this is just a bad basketball team. The Athletic is saying the contenders to trade for him, the Sixers, the Lakers, Warriors, the Heat, the Knicks, the Pelicans, then the Nets. So, I mean, you feel like somebody's going to pull a trigger.
You would think so. For some of the struggles and inconsistency, I feel like you get him to a better team with a better system, better coach, that you'll get more out of him.
Yeah,
I really do.
Where he's the Robin just to a Batman.
Right. He shouldn't be on a contending team. He's not your number one. If you have a superstar team, he's not going to be your superstar, but one of the top guys on that team.
Right. And on the other side of town, or I mean, the other side of the stadium, you have the Blackhawks, who, I mean, it's exactly what we expected.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a lot of top end talent.
No, and
they're a try hard team.
It's too bad because I felt like they played one of their better games last night where I was there. They had their chances, man. They just couldn't bury that go ahead goal, and they missed the game tying goal by mere inches at the very end. It was a frustrating loss, but definitely a better effort. I mean, they've lost some close games where they're down by a goal late and then the other team scores an empty netter and then that's it. I mean, they were down by one heading into the final minutes against Nashville. They were down by one heading the final minutes against the Devils. And, you were down, lost by one to the Buffalo Sabres.
The problem is, like, they go into a deficit early and they're playing.
Right. Always playing behind.
Yeah, that they're always playing behind. And, it's frustrating. It's, if you could get that late third period play where they're aggressively coming back and play like that out the jump and get out into a lead, we might see some different results. You look at the record of this team, it's not very good, but if you analyze the actual play and look at the schedule that they've played, you're like, all right, these results aren't bad.
You see the effort. I mean, you see the effort, and you know that it's a combination of you don't have a lot of top tier NHL talent. You got a lot of growing pains with rookies, including Bedard. He's going through growing pains too, which is fully expected, fully natural, not a criticism. I mean, you're seeing growing pains with guys like Vlasic and Korchinski, but you see the positives and you see what can become of it.
It is. I mean, you're right. It's Bedard has had growing pains. You watch him play, and there's been some pucks lost, and
some wipeouts.
But yeah, wipeouts. He's been bodied. A couple of passes just miss, and but
that's going to happen.
But you laugh at it because you're like, he's still a point a game player.
Mm-hmm. Had a nice assist on a goal last night.
I think he actually is better than a point a game player. I think he's a point in a fraction, I believe.
Wayne Gretzky is literally saying he might be better than we thought.
Yeah, that's literally the quote he had. He might, and he was the guy that we thought was going to be a generational player. It's he's really good, and I know a lot of our talk is Connor Bedard. He's the best hope team. There's a lot of players that we're counting on, but he is the light years difference between last year and this year.
Right. I mean, he's the rock that you're building on. And you could honestly argue that outside Connor Bedard, your team is, as it stands, might not even be as good as it was last year. Last year, you got a really good year out of Max Domi. You got a really good year out of Athanasiou, who's currently hurt right now. Taylor Hall's been on and off the ice, so he's had injury issues. And
Patrick Kane.
You had Patrick Kane last year, and you had Jonathan Toews. I know he's washed up, but that's a guy that wins faceoffs all the time. Where this year you don't have that faceoff winner. So yeah, I mean, on paper, you take Connor Bedard out of the factor, you probably technically had a better team last year. And you know what? That's not because of incompetence. That's the nature of a rebuild, man.
They're last year you got some talented guys that you got with the idea that you're going to try to flip them, and they did flip them. And I would have loved to bring back Domi, and I'm bummed that they didn't, because I think that would have been a good fit. But
I think the fit was there too, but I think the Maple Leafs were willing to pay something that a rebuilding Blackhawks team was not willing to pay.
And that's possible. You brought in Taylor Hall, who, is a talented guy, but is
banged up,
and he's not the guy that he was when you first drafted him, obviously. And you've got a bunch of old players, Corey Perry, Nick Foligno. Like, you've got guys that are just like, they're not here long term, and they're just here for one last run, or trying to it's a bunch of guys that are trying to rebuild their career, or last hurrah, and young kids. It's really what it is. And at some point, you're going to have, probably next year, during this off season, you're going to have a whole lot of money, and you're going to have a young group of players that are either played this year or coming up for next year. And you're going to have a bunch of money to pay talent to be around these guys. And, a good selling point is, hey, we can give you the same amount of money as the best contract offer you got, and you get to play with Connor Bedard. That's a selling point, man.
Sure. And if, you got a good culture established like you do under Luke Richardson, that's, those are selling points there. And, right now they're just following a process.
Yeah. There's things that you just got to build off of, is, the finding the right fits on your forward lines and your defensive pairings. Get guys experience, get Lucas Reichel going, and get some of these young guys just to fix the gaps in their games. There's no perfect prospect, and the Blackhawks just have a bunch of young guys.
Mm-hmm.
Is you got to work with them, you got to teach them how to win, and if they can clean up a few things when they're playing at their best, they're a really good team, even with lack of talent. When they're just playing tough, scrappy hockey, and they're young player mistakes, and sometimes they just get outclassed by really good teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's those things you can't help when you're just outclassed. You can work as hard as you can, but there's things that they got to work on. Is cleaning up some of the mental mistakes, some of the the lazy passes in the middle of the ice, you know, not giving up quick early goals. How many times have they jumped into or given up a lead real quick in a game and then
Yeah, it happens more often than not.
yeah, so it's not a lot that they have to clean up really, but it's they clean these things up and suddenly uh, they're a respectable team, and I would guarantee you tough clubs that they've played have a different respect for the Blackhawks than they did last year at this time or 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're like, oh, hey, this team full of nobodies is playing. The Bad News Bears here are playing tough.
Right.
Yeah, especially since Connor Kelly Leak Bedard decided to play for him. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I think I've said my piece.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. That's how we grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, ShyFanPat2 for Alex on Twitter/X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like number New Yorkers. Smoking crack is not legal on planes. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears!
Oh, when the Bears go bearing down